Fantastic way to start the morning, and now we move to semi-final AB2 of the men's double sculls. And the hot favourites for this event, the New Zealand combination, John Story and Christopher Harris, gold medalists from the second and third World Cups this year.
There's the crew from the States. John Graves in the bow of that boat. John Graves from the Craftsbury Sculling Centre, originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Ben Davison, native of Florida. The two Frenchmen, Andreas and Boucheron, 22 and 24 years of age. We're moving towards the centre lanes. Close up there of Graham Thomas, the sculler from Agecroft in the north of England. Angus Groom, the strokeman. Both these men have been injured and come back really just for this World Championships. The favourites, the 30-year-old John Story, furthest away from you on the right of your screen, and then the unmistakable features of Chris Harris, 31, in the stroke seat, the form crew. Olympic silver medalists in Danis Griskonis, furthest away from you. That is the 29-year-old Lithuanian, and Salius Ritter, incredibly tall man, 29 years of age in the stroke seat. The two Romanians there in the bows, Ion Prudino, just 24 years of age, and his stroke man, Marian Florian Anash, 22 years of age, and the Romanian double. Been around this season, but nothing sparkling from them. This is probably a great opportunity to shine.
And we're away in the second semi-final of the men's double sculls. And of course, all eyes on the Kiwis. They're the form crew this season. They came out with a real bang in Poznan in the second World Cup and have been basically untouchable since, but we can't look away either from the Lithuanians off to their left-hand side in the signature green rowing suits, Griskonis and Ritter, as we ride here with the British.
Yeah, Angus Groom and Graham Thomas back in the team, and I'm talking to Gary O'Donovan, the Irish sculler, not competing here. Normally he's still medalist in the lightweight men's double sculls, and he picked out the British double, Greg, as one of the doubles that he thought was moving really well.
Yeah, well, the British double have a lot of potential. Of course, Graham Thomas got ill and had to withdraw from the Rio Olympic Games, very unfortunately, so he's on the comeback, finding himself in this double, and alongside the New Zealand crew, who normally aren't the fastest of starters, but then get into a relentless rhythm. So I think they're in the position they're going to want to be, and good to see the French right up with the pace.
Yeah, the Lithuanians got dumped. There's Salius Ritter there. I mean, he was in the quad that won gold in Lucerne, but they've really had a slow start.
But interesting what you said, Greg. I think that the Kiwis have done something a little different here. This is, I think, an uncharacteristically fast start for them. So I'm not even sure that it's so much that the Romanians and the Lithuanians got dropped. I think that there's maybe a slightly different strategy coming here from the Kiwis.
And that's maybe what you want to do in a semi-final, to get hold of the race early, try and build a decent lead. So perhaps we've seen New Zealand going a little bit harder than they might normally do. But for me, this race is still on, very hard to call.
Well, to be fair, the Kiwis did lead through the first quarter in Lucerne. I mean, I'm not sure. I know that we said about Kiwi pair and they were very sort of kind of conservative off. I think Calvin Ferguson's crews do like to get out quickly and rate high, and this double really follows that model. But you look there, rating 40. Over there at the top of the picture, the other crew in the white boat, two from the top of your picture. That's the French of Andreas and Boucheron from Bayonne and Lyon clubs. They came 6th in the Olympic Games, very experienced double, and it's a pretty handy lead for them to have over the Olympic silver medalists. They're back in green on the left of your shot, the Lithuanians. Well, there's the British on the left of your picture. Angus Groom shot to prominence, finishing 4th behind Olaf Tufter in the single sculls just before the Rio Olympics. And there's the Kiwis out in front.
And just a nice contrast, really. The Kiwis just rating a little bit higher, looking for a little bit more of a tug when you look at it. John Story just getting a little bit more up in his shoulders, trying to keep that stroke rate high. And they're really trying to get away from the rest of the field. But they're not managing it yet. And I think the Lithuanians are looking quite ominous here in boat number 5. They're still only in 5th place in the race, but I'm picking them to keep moving back on the rest of the field as Graham Thomas takes that look to his left and sees them coming.
And we have the Romanians out here in lane 6, and we've seen some fantastic performances from the Romanian team across the board at this championship so far.
Yeah, we have, and the stroke man, Marian Florian Nash, he came 4th in the under-23 singles behind Natan Witsky-Simchak, the Pole who took the bronze, who we're going to see later on in the final, a semi-final of the men's singles. There's the French out in front. So the Romanians have got real under-23 talent to call on, and that is a fantastic move by the French crew. We know about French sculling. The British going with them, but they're taking these three doubles away from the Olympic silver medalist in green. I have to keep emphasising that, because that's probably Lithuania's top crew, and they are such a strong sculling nation, and they're out of the qualifying positions at the moment.
The Kiwis on screen here really starting to battle. I mean, they've been rating a lot higher than everyone else, but they just don't seem to be really hitting their stride as we're used to seeing. And the French making a big move here, and coming with them are the British.
Yeah, 3:07 through the 1,000. That's a similar speed to the Italians in the first semi-final, so the speed is there. And
this one's so tight still to call. I think the British, they're sandwiched in between these two doubles. They're going to look to try and keep up with that pace, but I think they need to be careful, because I think the Lithuanians are going to start to sprint. And now this technique needs to hold together from Angus Groom in the strokes. He's got to just keep going and keep pounding it down as that boat number 5 creeps up on the rest of the field.
Is this where the disadvantage comes in from not being a sort of experienced boat, just coming back the one regatta after injury is the World Championships? Is this where the British are going to feel it?
Well, it's that combination, the new combination against the experience of the Lithuanians who've got the confidence to just perhaps look to come through. We're saying it's still not done yet. Anything, I think, could still happen in this big last 500.
They're at the 1,500-metre mark, and the Kiwis have answered the response from the French. I think that the French have put in a huge effort in that third quarter, but can they go again? We saw Chris Harris looking across. He could see the French, but it looked like the Kiwis had an answer to it.
Yeah, for my money, it's the British are going to suffer. Griskonis, the bowman in that Lithuanian double, has got a fearsome finish. You can see him there on the right of your picture. Griskonis, incredible single sculler. These two took the silver medal in the Olympics, and they gave the Croatians a run for the money in Rio. And they're not going to let the British get in front of them. Really timed that well, that sprint finish.
Yeah, it just looks like the British are just shortening up a bit, not able to quite finish the strokes off. As we have a look at the high rating New Zealanders up at 42, just banging it along. And they now have these Lithuanians as we hit the red buoys in the last 250 metres. The athletes will know this is probably 25 strokes to go, and now it's time to race in for these final positions.
To me, the surprise package of this is the French over there in the top lane. I mean, the two scullers, Andreas and Bouchon, are sculling out of their skins, and this is a form we haven't seen this season. They may even beat the New Zealanders in this semi, and that would be the first time the Kiwis have lost a race this season. They're going through.
Well, it's a great move from the French that they're now up at 43 strokes a minute. They've saved it until the last 10 or so strokes of the race. New Zealand's been up for so long. The French just timed their race well there, and I think they're going to just come across the line first to secure that first qualifying position ahead of New Zealand and Lithuania, who are going to go through, and the British just couldn't match that pace in the last 500.
Wow, the surprise package, the French, that was absolutely incredible. I don't think any of us called that. We were all about the Lithuanians and the Kiwis at the beginning of this race. Like you said,
yeah.
Martin, what a performance from the Frenchmen.
Well, Mathieu Andreas on the right of your picture, just 22 years of age, and Hugo Bouchon. They did finish 6th in the Olympics. This is the first time the New Zealanders, they finished 2nd, but first time they've been beaten this season. And the Olympic silver medalists, well, they really left it late.
And the Kiwis, they didn't go below 40 strokes a minute that entire race from what we could see. So, you know, there's not really much room to move once you're up at 40 through the middle thousands. So once the French got themselves up there as well, they were just able to power away.
If you tighten a little bit at 40, you know, because there's so many strokes a minute, the boat just might lose a bit of its momentum. You've got to be really loose and tight, like the Romanian men's 8 do it that well. There's the British off the start. Now you see there the features of Hugo Bouchon closest to you, and Mathieu Andreas, the two Frenchmen that took this race, just 22 and 24. Young double, aren't they?
Yeah, the French will be pleased, won't they, to see their system starting to work now and these boats coming through to World Finals.
There's the two Kiwis. They look pretty cool. I mean, you know, we're nitpicking when we say up at 40 strokes a minute, because pretty well that boat's running flat. Confirmation if you needed it. France took first place behind New Zealand and Lithuania. Britain had to